Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for Swallow's Compass. This is the new dungeon made available by patch 4.3 in Final Fantasy XIV Under the Moonlight. At first glance, this may seem like a complicated dungeon, but it's really quite elementary. So what are you waiting for? My name is MYTHMAKER and I'll be your dungeon guide. We begin by making our way through 3 rooms of trash, each being the heart of 3 elements: water, earth, and wind. Players will need to watch out for various elemental attacks and AoEs. Once all 3 rooms are cleared, you'll be able to unlock the Heart of the Dragon room and face the first boss, a TENGU. Clout of the TENGU will do group-wide AoE damage. YAMA-KAGURA is a column attack in the direction of a random player or the nearest ley lines. Avoid this as necessary. Eventually, a number of TENGU embers will spawn in a spiral pattern and will slowly begin to move around the platform. Players will need to avoid these embers while also dodging boss attacks. Getting hit by an ember will deal damage and place a stacking separation debuff on you. WILE of the TENGU is a gaze attack that all players should turn away from to dodge. Getting hit by this will afflict you with hysteria, causing your character to run all over the platform, probably into the no-no spots. Eventually, the embers will stop moving and explode. Players should get out of these areas as necessary. Might of the TENGU is a hard-hitting tankbuster. Shield and heal through this as necessary. These mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. In this next section, along with the amazing underwater views, players will notice a number of barriers. Periodically, a large wave will form, pushing back and dealing damage to anyone in its path. Players can use these barriers to avoid this wave completely while they continue to destroy the adds. Make sure you dodge each add AoE as necessary. The second boss is DAIDARABOTCHI. This is a stationary boss that will use his arms to throw out large AoE attacks on the platform. Players will have to watch his arms carefully and move away from the side he targets, or they'll get hit for high damage and a vulnerability up debuff. Players will also have to watch out for a number of AoE attacks. Move out of the triangle telegraphs on the ground and spread out the AoE circle markers to avoid overlapping damage. Damage dealers can be targeted by these markers and be chased by ground spikes for some time. They'll need to run away to avoid excess damage. Eventually, the boss will cast MYTHMAKER and slam down onto the very center of the platform, forming a lake. Standing in this lake will slowly cause you to sink and will result in death, so be sure to avoid it. The lake will gradually increase in size over time, leaving you less and less room to handle each boss mechanic. Players will now need to take extra care when spreading out for each AoE attack. Eventually, the lake does disappear, and all mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. This last section of trash is divided by a number of cliff sides that require you to destroy each mob before you can use the wind to travel to the next cliff. Watch out for standard AoE attacks as you burn everything down. The last boss is Kitan Dashing. Anytime he casts the short end, expect high tank damage. Make sure you cool down and heal through this as necessary. You'll notice the outer rim of the platform turn into a danger zone, afflicting players with a bleed debuff and vulnerability up stacks. When he casts both ends, players will need to pay close attention to his staff. If his staff is not glowing, he will cast a small point-blank AoE attack. Move out of this as necessary. If his staff grows and starts pulsating with lightning, players will need to quickly collapse into melee range. This attack will knock back anyone at range into the outer rim. Mount Huago is a group-wide AoE blast. Shield and heal through this as necessary. Eventually, the boss will move into the center and begin channeling monkey magics. A number of servant monkeys will spawn around the room. The tank will need to quickly grab these while everyone else burns them down as quickly as possible. Make sure you avoid the circle AoE attacks as necessary. Once all the monkeys are down, the boss will cast Second Heaven, dealing damage based on his monkey magics meter. Shield, heal, and cooldown through this as necessary. At this point, he'll cast Splitting Hairs, creating a clone of himself. Each mechanic you've seen so far will now be cast at the same time by each clone, and players will need to react accordingly. During both ends, make sure you run into melee range of the glowing spear clone to avoid getting knocked into the poop. The AoE blast is now cast twice by each clone, however the damage is about the same. Shield and heal as necessary. During long end, 2 players will be tethered to the clones and a number of AoE circles will appear on the platform. Dodge these as necessary. The 2 tethered players will need to turn their clones away from the group to avoid excess overlap of damage. During short end, the tank will suffer through a tankbuster from each clone. Be ready with heals and cooldowns. You'll also notice a variation of both ends, where a player is marked up for 5-fingered punishment. The group will need to stack on this player to share damage, but be careful not to stack too close to the clone about to do the point-blank AoE. Dodge the other AoE circles as necessary. These mechanics will continue until both clones are destroyed. Should you kill a clone early, the remaining clone will again cast Splitting Hairs and spawn another clone. Players can divide their attacks between each clone, killing them at the same time. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll head into Castrum Fluminis. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.